Okay, can you hear me? Yep, I think you can. Let me see if I can get everything else turned on. Nope, not that. Okay, so my webcam is not on for whatever reason, but I'm going to glue this onto the Traveler here. You see the Traveler is healing, uh, and by the way, this is Iron Bill, and I'm trying to stream this live, so hope you enjoy. I'm going to just keep the image right there, and yeah, let's just see if we can keep that going while I straighten out this other nonsense that I have going on. It's not that important that I'm on there, I guess. Just annoys me. You know, I stopped using this because I don't know, the streaming, the raw footage I would get from stream didn't really suit what I wanted to put out. And I've made some changes here. Apparently I've turned some things off that I need to turn back on. So give me just 1 second here. I don't see. That's on. Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, I don't know for sure what is going on. But my webcam is off. It might be buried. I think that must be what it is. There we go. Get that off anyway. I don't know. I'm lost. Doesn't matter. At this point, we're just going to let that roll, I think. Yep. So, back to the Traveler. Let's just hang with that. And I don't know if you folks have thought too much about what you want to do when the new well, whatever you want to call it, DLC doesn't seem like the proper word, but when the next new season does drop, what it is that you want to do first. If I were making a list, and I'm going to right now, one of the things I want to do is I want to, of course, get any new exotics, whatever they happen to be. We've had a few announced, and I don't know if there'll be any surprises beyond that, but it'd be cool to start right off with an exotic quest. Of course, if you pre-ordered, then No Time to Explain comes with it. I suspect that's just going to be a mediocre pulse rifle. It was in Destiny 1. It really wasn't that good. I mean, it was okay, but I wouldn't say it was an S-tier type weapon. Another thing I will want to look at will be new subclasses. This darkness subclass, or this darkness class, the whole family of them, that's really going to breathe some life into the game. And anytime you add a new subclass, it really adds a lot of complexity and a lot of layers to the game, because it opens up the number of possibilities and builds and what have you. And if you're really into specializing in a build, they'll soon enough, within the week, I would tell you, there'll be people who will come up with new builds for them. Of course, things are going to be expensive in terms of resources and stuff, so I hope that you have built up some materials in preparation to that. Oh! Fireworks? That's different. But we've seen fireworks in the tower before. still there are pieces that are reassembling. There's a swirl in the center, near just south of the center and slightly down to the left. The big plate is about to cover it right now. That is a new swirling area, and there's kind of an aura around the Traveler itself, which would indicate that it is awakening. And look over on the right side where my head is, right here. This is new too. That's never been there. So this is a healing zone. Anyway, we'll keep that just kind of lined up there, and we'll continue on. I've said over and over that the new subclasses, this darkness power, is either going to be game breaking or it'll be a flop. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, at first anyway. I do think that it's one of those things that'll get tuned ultimately, but I would expect a wild ride at first. It's not going to be super smooth. I'm going to move the mic a little closer to me here. I hope I've been loud enough. Next thing that I'd like to look at, of course, would be the story. And here's something that people haven't talked a lot about, but I would throw out there. You know, one of the reasons I came to Destiny in the first place in 2014 is I was a huge Mass Effect fan. I'd played all the games in the series. And by the way, it was announced yesterday that is getting remastered. And that's going to be reintroduced on PC and on console. And they're currently working on the next installment of the game. And I hope it's a lot better than the last Andromeda, which was just awful. But anyway, I digress. Coming back to this, I really enjoyed that single-player story experience. And the Mass Effect series, I don't know why no one's ever made a movie out of it, to be quite honest, because I've never seen a sci-fi game universe that was just so full of personality, and it needs to be made someday. But anyway, I'm thrilled to death that that's coming back and remastered, because I'll definitely play it. But that being said, I came to Destiny hoping for the next Mass Effect 3. Now, of course, it didn't turn out that way, and it was never intended to be. I didn't really know much about the Destiny universe at that time. I came in right as the beta dropped. I played, I liked it, and I've been hooked ever since. But in some respects, it was still a bit of a disappointment because the story itself was never developed in-game properly. I mean, you'll have people argue with that, and they'll say, well, there's all kinds of lore and stuff, and there is, but it does not actually... You don't live it through the game in the manner that Mass Effect had you live it inside of that series. And in that respect, Mass Effect stands as the gold standard of how to do story in a game. But what I'm hopeful of is that Bungie is pulling back on some old threads that they let loose. And a lot of that had to do with Activision, supposedly, and Activision making decisions and pushing the timeline up before they were ready, necessitating them and cutting that Bungie would then have to cut out huge hunks of the story, and that's kind of the way it felt. That always rang true with me, because the story in Destiny, when it was released in 14 and 15, was that it felt like it was a jigsaw puzzle with pieces missing. And what I'm hoping is that we're coming back to those pieces and we're actually going to integrate it all together. Another way of looking at it is, I think that over the years, a lot of the content, or at least the story and what was going to be built into the story, was shattered like a glass mug, and every season we would just get another piece of that glass mug, and we were slowly assembling the entire mug. I just kind of hope that the material will be presented as it's intended, not as it's forced to be presented from this point forward. So I'm looking forward to the story. I'm hopeful there'll be a change in direction as to how the story is presented, and there'll actually be more of it. Hopefully. All right. Next, legendary weapons and armor. Now that, of course, is the... I mean, that's the filler, uh, if you ask me. I mean, this is a looter shooter in some respects, and if you don't have things to hunt, you can lose a lot of impetus to do content that's repetitive. And sure, in the first week or so, maybe even the first month, everyone will want to grind through this and really just enjoy it, and they'll just consume it. But in the end, once you have all the meaningful stuff in that first month or so, when you really have gotten a good feel for what's going on, and the new begins to wear off, how do you keep people playing? How do you keep players engaged? And yeah, that's I'm hoping that there are enough interesting weapons and armor combinations that there's enough new to stretch out for a while. And that is the good thing about adding a darkness subclass, is because you do introduce a wider pool of things to use. Sandbox ties in with that. Because the sandbox is going to change, that also changes how the combinations work. And you toss into that the new subclasses. um, I mean, the number of possibilities go up exponentially, and so you should not see the new wear off so quickly. That's what I would hope. And how this typically manifests when the new wears off, you'll have a bunch of people who buy into any game. In the first month, you'll have huge numbers, and then right after that, you have a precipitous fall in the number of daily logins. Um, to that point, like if you were wanting to break into PvP and you hadn't been doing it, this is going to be the time to do it, because you're going to have so many new players that really are just trying to figure things out. And honestly, the legs have been kicked out from all of us. No one knows what's going to be meta. No one knows what is going to be the strongest build. No one knows any of that stuff yet. And there's going to be a lot of experimentation, people trying things out, and sure, soon enough, people will figure out what is the best to use and what isn't, and the meta will set in, things will get stale and all that stuff. But for the first week or two, it's a bit of a relaxed time, because people are willing to experiment and try some things out. Now, we can guess what we think the meta is going to be. There's a lot of talk about 110, 120 hand cannons, for instance, or whether Vigilance Wing is going to be a dominant gun. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But what we see, there's a lot here we don't know. We don't know what new weapons are going to get introduced along the way, and what the new perks and mods and all that. For instance, and I know I'm rambling here a little bit, but I'm filling some time, so forgive me. Um, Weapon mods are being moved off of the weapons and are being put onto the armor. So let's say that you have a situation where you want to have an unstoppable round. Well, rather than having to load a hand cannon or some other weapon that can load unstoppable rounds, now you just put that on an armor piece, and any weapon that you use can have unstoppable rounds. And that is a huge deal. So there's just too much changing now for anyone to be completely dialed in on what's going to be great. I mean, great players are still going to play great. But if you want to get into PvP right now, it's going to be a lot harder for full teams of people to come in that are, aced out on their meta and, just slapping you down the second you move. I would strongly encourage, if you are curious about PvP and you want to give it a shot, this will be the week to do it. Okay, so, and that's especially true to the free light players and such, because those are the people that really probably get into the game to try a little bit of the multiplayer and see what is what. Those are my big items right now. I just don't know much of what else is coming in. Things that worry me are the economy. Because in the tower here, supposedly right over in this area somewhere, there's going to be another kiosk. And that kiosk, oh my gosh, I got kicked out, baboon. This has been happening to me way too often. Anyway, supposedly that kiosk, we'll get back over here where we were. I think this is one of the best views. The kiosk is going to be the place where you can pick up pinnacle weapons from that you can no longer get because the sources are gone. or the quests are over. And it's going to require some materials. It's going to be super expensive, but they can be acquirable. Now, first thing comes to mind for me would be what does that pool include? For instance, if you take some of the pinnacle weapons from PvP, such as Mountaintop, Revoker, uh, Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, weapons like that that really took Redrick's broadsword, weapons that took a bit of a grind to get, and maybe a lot of people just said, I'm not a PvP player, I'm not going to mess with that. Are those going to be available? Let's say some Gambit ones like 21% Delirium or Hush, I believe, was in there, and a few. There was a sidearm that came from there that I think was a quest, and I'm pretty sure. No, it was a sidearm. Yeah. Stuff like that. I mean, what's going to be included on that list? And you might say, well, who cares? Because that stuff's all sunset. Well, it is, and it's true. But if you're going to do quick play or control or something like that, it really doesn't matter. Most of the time, these weapons are still very usable. And I guess that's another reason why sunsetting doesn't bother me that much, because when I play PvP, for the most part, I'm going to be doing control. I like the length of the game. I like the objectives to it, and it's just my preferred mode. And unless you're going to do some trials, which a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't, or you're going to do Iron Banner, then the sunsetting thing isn't going to hurt you. So, and regular PvP or PvE, most of the world stuff that you do, the power's not going to matter that much. I mean, sure, it's going to get boosted up to probably the 1060 cap. I don't remember what they said it was going to be, but even at that, if all your other weapons and armor is up, you're probably not going to fall below that base level power. And so in the world, you could still continue to use your stuff. People typically don't, and I'm obsessive to the point where I wouldn't in that situation, because I just like to see a max number up. But you still could use it anyway. In order to get those things, there is going to be a resource that can be only gotten from the particular activity from which the pinnacle came. So for instance, if you have a pinnacle raid weapon that you're wanting to get, let's say some of the raids are going to be gone. There's something in Leviathan that you wanted to get. You can still get that, but you're going to have to get raid resources, and the only way to get that is to complete raids. And in the case of exotics, Azure is going to sell an item once a week, and I'm not clear if that's per character or per account, but Azure typically works per account. I would guess that you can get one of those per week, and you can use that to purchase an exotic that you can no longer get any other way. So that it's both a good and a bad thing. And as they say, the devil's in the details, and it's just going to depend upon how expensive it is. As a for instance, I didn't really masterwork a whole lot of stuff in the last year. I did weapons here and there, but in terms of armor, I didn't mess with builds that much. And, that has a cost, by not doing that, because you would see oftentimes if you watch me play PvP, I mean, my movement's not great, my aim's not great, but there'd be fights that I would lose by just a sliver all too often. And that comes down to oftentimes you playing against someone who's optimized to play PvP. I mean, they have taken the time to create a build, and they're effective at using it. And I'm too lazy to do it, or I just didn't want to grind for the resources, and I essentially gave away a disadvantage, or gave away an advantage. And all things being equal, if I'm facing an equally skilled opponent, if that's the case, then the difference is going to come down to what we equip, and the choices we make. But really, largely, it's going to come down to the equipment that we employ. And that little bit. It's a game of inches, and there'll be games when I can survive by inches, and games where I can't survive by inches, and yeah, it's worth noting. If you want to be really good at that, then you have to do your homework, and it's one of the things I'm going to have to work on, because obviously I play it a lot. I might as well try to get better at it. I don't I've never felt like I needed to optimize for PvE that much, because PvE, if I'm being perfectly blunt, it's not tough. I mean, it's just not. I've never felt like the armor made that much difference, other than, for instance, in Garden of Salvation, you wanted to have Relay Defender, mods on your armor, because it boosted your damage. But that's a pretty simple snap in, snap off type of thing if you wanted to do it. And I've got a feeling that this season that's going to change up some. I think it's going to be a lot more nuanced, because one of the things Bungie stated they wanted to do a few seasons back is they wanted to get more into the MMO side of things, and meaning that they wanted to stratify how builds could occur. If you remember Destiny 1, there were a lot of nodes that had to be filled, and there were a lot of combinations that you could do, and you could really refine your build just on your subclass page. And Destiny 2 got away from that, and there were arguments for and against that, but they got away from that, and I was always kind of sorry they did, because there were just some good, clean things you could do once you learned the system. To specify for whatever activity you want to play, and you could change them super easy. And not so much now. I mean, what you wind up doing now is you have to get multiple armor pieces more than you did before, and I tend to create builds and then set aside different suits of armor depending upon, say, for instance, if I want to have a mobility build, or if I want to have a resilience build, or something like that. So, and I'll be honest, I'm a latecomer to the game. I probably have really only looked at that in the last couple of months, and I would say varying levels of success. Although, a couple of weeks ago, I hadn't played Warlock in a while, and I decided to start doing top tree Dawnblade, and I don't know why I waited so long on that, but oh man, I got that specced out properly. I was getting thumped at first. I mean, I was just getting smoked. And a lot of that was just not being used to the mobility. But once I got that sorted out and really specced out more for resilience and recovery, oh my gosh, what a difference. And it's a really fun PvP class to play. Now, I will always have a soft spot for Hunter, but I do play all three classes. And I hear people moaning about, speaking of Hunters, about the dodge nerf, and instead of 22 seconds on the dodge, it's being moved up to 26 seconds, and there are ways to mitigate that, but even at that, I don't know, it's not that much of a difference in the end, at least in my play. Now, and again, I'm not a top tier player, so I'm probably speaking out of turn on this, but there will be an adjustment to that, but I don't think it is going to be the end of the world the way some people are making it out. But you know how that goes. Anytime there's a change to a subclass, the afflicted parties always have to have their period of victimhood, and then just make it sound like it's the end of the world. I better move around here a little bit so I don't get kicked out. Okay, if you look up here in the upper right, you see the lid is slamming shut on the Traveler up there. And I got a feeling right before this goes dark, this is all just going to slap together. I was watching a streamer, Astacross's feed, while I was like 6,000 people deep in queue. And somebody joked that, the Traveler was going to pull it all together and bug out because the darkness has arrived. And probably a lot of truth to that. I don't know if he's going to hang around or not, or it, I should say. Maybe I will change my position here. See if I can get up here. I can't get over there. I don't know if that's any better. A little bit, maybe. To be honest, the traveler's pretty much everywhere, isn't he? So, look around here a little bit. The light's not changing all that much. You've got the debris rings that are just kind of scattering all around. That's not all that different. I want to see that bird get sucked in. Traveler's going to need a snack on his way, right? All right. Yeah, I'll slide up here a little bit. Well, I hope you got all your wants and have tos and want tos done leading into this, because yeah, we're pretty much there, aren't we? I mean, it's 8:19, and yeah, pretty soon here it's going to be done. I'm going to let this play. I need to step out for just a minute. I'm just going to turn my mic off. I'll be right back in just a moment. Okay, back live. Sorry for that. Just need to step out for a few. My wife goes to bed relatively early. I wanted to tell her good night. Lovely lady. I've been married for 34 years. Our anniversary is actually coming up this month. Not that many, about 2 weeks away. Hard to believe. Is it just me, or is it getting foggier near the bottom of the Traveler there? Just a little fuzzier. Or are we just seeing the reflection of the spiral? You see a spiral right here and a spiral right there. Oh my gosh. This is why I don't do activities with people very often. It just starts doing that. Ugh, how annoying. I don't know if I got it in the same instance or not. Probably not. Anyway, right here and right here. It seems every so often stability in the game just diminishes. I don't know. It could be my internet. I can't blame Bungie for sure, but I want to back up here. I don't know. Let's try something just for funsies, because it looks like it's going to be a little bit yet. I wonder what it's going to look like from here. No, definitely not there. I don't know. Well, it's not the worst place it could be. I'm gonna type to my clan here just a second. Guy jumped to his death. So if I look back in the last year and reminisce a bit, hits and misses. You know, some of the live events that they did along the way obviously felt like fillers. Not like this, but I mean like the public events. Um, Universally the same. You know, grab an orb, toss it at the central pylon, whatever. That stuff got old pretty fast. I will say This time around, the incursions. Those were interesting. It still was horde mode event, and it is mindless and repetitive. But this one didn't feel so bad. So not a terrible thing. Bounties, obviously, they overdid the bounties. I like bounties as much as the next guy, but that became like the core game PVE gameplay method. Go out and do your bounties, and that's tragic because that takes the place of the story. When I was talking earlier about being driven by story, how much better would the game be if we did less bounties and more story, or if the bounties somehow fit into a storyline and the bounties that you did affected what story that you got. And truly now I'm going down the Mass Effect path because that's essentially kind of how it works. But yeah, it's there are better ways to do it. Now, what they really hit, especially here in the last couple of cycles, was they gave us some very interesting weapons with some unique features, and it makes me hopeful because for the longest time there really wasn't that much change in weaponry and how they could be modded. And even the things that they brought back into the game, they gave them the chance for the most part to be solid offerings. I mean, after all, I grabbed a Galliard. It was doing quite well. And it's a 600. You can't mod it the same, or actually you can. The newer rules you could, but it was just a run-of-the-mill 600 RPM auto rifle early on in the game when it was first introduced. But as it came back, even right now, I could go on into Crucible and I could play with it and be just as competitive with that as most other weapons. Not a gnawing hunger, of course, but because you can't get all those perks, but it's still very good. Solid offering. So kudos to that. I mean, they did make it interesting to go after some of the weaponry that, especially in the quest type stuff. The exotics were just really top notch here towards the end. Witherhorde, I mean, look at that weapon. What a difference that makes. Haven't had anything like that. A grenade launcher that drops a pool of taken ooze on the ground. That's pretty cool. What's the name of the one? The Void rifle that drops the orbs that you can pick up. I want to say Divinity, but that's not right. I don't use it much, but it's still a cool weapon, and what you can do with it. And I'm curious where Bungie goes here, pushing into that realm. Does that expand to armor pieces? We got some decent armor pieces, but nothing in my mind really stands out above the staples. I mean, for instance, on this Warlock, I don't run anything but transversive steps. I mean, I know there are other things to use, but it's just hard to put down the speed boost and, the reload capability. It's just a tough comment, especially after they nerfed Lunafaction boots. It wasn't worth sitting in a well somewhere and not having reload the way you could with Lunafaction boots. And really, even then, that was useful as a DPS tool, which was situational. Or transversive steps I can use everywhere. And there are people who like Controverse Hold and a few of the other pieces, and I've even seen people use the exotic chest piece that lets you float in the air and snipe. I'm not a big fan of that, but at least you can. I mean, it's something you can do. Hunter, I probably use Dragon Shadow more than anything else, or Worm Husk. I have used Stompies. I don't know. You can get your speed in other ways, and it's hard to, put down the double dodge or the super fast dodge you can get with the Dragon Shadow, or the healing capability on dodge with a Worm Husk. That's useful both in PvP and PvE. I find it, Worm Husk I use it all the time. So, and when I'm not, it's going to be Dragon Shadow. Titan, I've done One-Eyed Mask, but I run Bottom Tree solar right now, and Hellfire Heart, with the recharge capability of your abilities, it's hard to say no to that. And I really don't mess with much else, and that's PvP and PvE. But they're fun ones to put on, like the Insurmountable Skullfort, and put on an arc and top tree or bottom tree arc, or top tree arc, I think it is, and just run around and shoulder charge stuff. Now that got nerfed. It's not nearly as lethal as it used to be. I remember one Iron Banner, I just slapped him on, and we were getting smoked hard. Here we go, gonna get kicked out again. I was getting smoked hard, and I just slapped those on and said, well, I'm just gonna run around shoulder charge. Piling up 25, 30 kills just shoulder charging people. And that must have been a bummer. Yeah, we're gonna get kicked out. I'm gonna try to leave the zone. Yeah, nope, I'm gonna get booted. I get about 30 seconds after I see those warnings, and then it's out you go. Can he make it? Can he make it? If I can get to the hangar, I'm probably going to be safe. That'll transition me to another zone. By the way, I never did hit Zur this week. I don't even know where he is. Doesn't matter, I've got everything. He's not up there. Yeah, I'm going to get booted. I tried to get in here tonight, talk through this, have some content, on this big event. But it seems like forces are going to prevent that from happening. Yeah, here we go. Oh well. For better or worse, I'm hanging out. That's the last of my Diet Coke. This video brought to you by Diet Coke, the drink of the older generation. Open your map. There's a quest. Quest where? There's a quest. Hey, Cooper. Cooper Bridwell, if you're listening, I'm sorry I didn't catch that right away. I'm trying not to get tossed out of here. I don't know where on the map is the quest. Oh, the last city. Okay. And he gets booted. I think I'm loading into it now. Above the courtyard. Thank you for the heads up. Man, that's just not going to go away, is it? The update is happening. In chat, Cooper Bridwell just notified us that we need to go to the mission. If you go to the map in the city, look above the courtyard, there is a mission. This will give you the emblem that is in the database, I believe. I think I may be too late, though. Yeah, that's what happened. We'll try it again. Oh. Nope. I'm curious if Steam is updating here. Shouldn't. Doesn't look like it. Okay, let's see. That's a new banner. Bungie's gonna really hear about this, aren't they? Nope, I am not in yet. I keep getting kicked out. I mean, I'm completely out of the game now. Just tossed me. I knew that was eventually going to happen. It's going to put me in queue. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This just wasn't meant to be. Well, I got it on film, didn't I? Thing is, if their timetable is to be believed, we're about 15 minutes or so away from the game going dark. And that's a real pity. Yeah. You keep trying, Cooper. I've heard it's a new social space, but man, we'll have to see. Hopefully, Bungie won't clap this off too quickly, and we'll get a chance to do it. And if not, I guess it's not the end of the world. It's an emblem. I'm gonna have to work the Streamlabs thing out. I think I moved my image on the camera, my webcam, and I think I buried it. I didn't. I didn't get it until the last second. I'm working so much right now that this is taking a back seat, and I need to get this straightened out. Hmm. Haven't decided which tune I'm going to start with. There's something to be said for all of them, and I've not really looked at the subclasses that much. But if I were pushed to say which one I think might wind up being one of the most overpowered, I'd have to go with the Titan, based on what I've seen. And I don't have any grand details on that. Just it seemed to have one of the more devastating supers. But it just, as with all things, it just depends on the total package each class has, because the throwing objects that you get with the hunter actually look pretty interesting too. So I don't know. What's going to be cool is to see how people use the classes to change the environment, to reach places that you can't reach, or to build barricades that enemies can't get through. And you imagine the possibilities in PvP, and for PvP too. It's going to be interesting to see what new maps are put in play, and how stasis plays on old maps, for that matter. I can imagine certain maps where you have such tight corridors that if someone throws a stasis wall down, I mean, that's going to absolutely block an area off. The possibilities for game modes like Control are obvious. I mean, you cap off a lane and put all your firepower in the other direction, and you're pretty much going to take a zone. So and I'm not a grand strategist either, but I could see where this is going to be a game changer. Also, that hunter, I don't know what you want to call them, whatever the it is that you can throw. I want to say batarang, for want of a better word, but the ability to skip off walls and hit multiple targets. I could see tossing down a thin corridor too, kind of like a Titan shield. If someone tosses a Titan shield, I mean, and you're anywhere around it, it's probably going to hit you. Warlock's probably the class that I haven't paid that much attention to at all, and watch it wind up being the dominant one. I mean, who can forget Middle Tree Void? Here we go, checking for updates. And that super, oh my gosh, here we go. That super taking you all over the map. It wasn't uncommon to take that Void subclass super on the Warlock and go from one end of a map to the other, killing people all the way. Killing a person, then racing to the spawn and killing them again. Terrible when it happened to you, and that's kind of the thing that I see coming. on the stasis deal is that I think there'll be elements of that in here. Not the whole thing, but I think there'll be places where they got it wrong, and then people are going to be flocking to that class because it's just going to be so dominant. The question is, how quick will they get around to, adjusting those things? I do think in time, though, that it will be great. I guess I would temper expectations and say that expect some pretty bizarre things at first. It's the first time this class has been tried. But how exciting. Oh my gosh. Bet you real money that I do not get back in before this goes dark. Bet you real money. I've been trying to get on since 7 o'clock Eastern Standard, and it took me about a half an hour the first time to get in. Right at. And yeah, this is not looking good. Keeping an eye on Cooper here, Cooper Bridwell. See if he gets into his. He apparently is loading into the quest. It's be a good time to catch up on some busy work. I'm going through my Strava posts, and if you don't know what that is, I'm an exercise enthusiast, and I ride and bikes and run and swim, and there's an app that is called Strava, and you and your friends can post all your workouts, and you can view one another's work. It's really pretty cool stuff. Some of the best friends I made in my life came from endurance athletics, for sure. And it's something that I always try to instill in my children. I have 2 daughters, and that it's important to take care of oneself, physically as well as mentally. Spiritually, too. And, now I follow them on Strava. And I'm proud to see that they really do commit to it. One of my girls is a nurse in Long Beach, California, and she is competitive in exercise. gosh, what do they call that? CrossFit. It's really very good. I mean, just really very good. And it just blows me away because, when they're kids, you have to fight them to do things. And I mean, not in an ugly way, but, I always had a rule that they had to have a sport and they had to have a social activity and, they had to give back. Always. And, I think as they've gotten older, they've realized the importance of that and not so angry with me about it anymore. I see all my friends are getting in. I haven't looked at the Discord. I'll have to look at that. But it's clear this is doomed. I'm sitting at 4,133. It hasn't moved in several minutes. Cooper, I hope the best for you. I hope you got in. Hope you're enjoying it. I think I, like many others, are going to have to just get on later and see what streamers did get in. Because this isn't going to happen. If you don't know, according to the TWAB, logins were disabled at about 9:50, supposedly. And then it's not 9:50 yet though. Ooh, I've got an hour. Ooh, I was about to sing the doom and gloom. Anyway, at 9:50 logins will be disabled, and at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the game goes dark. So there's still a chance I'll be able to get in. I thought it was an hour ahead. Forgive me for that. I'm trying to stay upbeat here. This is definitely frustrating. The Almighty event was panned in part because it took so long to happen. But I will say the connections were stable. Once you got in, everything was good. You just had to move around once in a while, so you didn't get booted for inactivity. But this, on the other hand, I'm not going to blame my internet on this one because there are a lot of people that are getting booted apparently, and that's unfortunate. And it's too bad things like this get marred. But I would rather, in some ways, this be something that be strung out over the day. Although, how you would do the Traveler healing itself in a way that people could see it on their own time, I don't know. And I do wonder, too, you know, what somebody across the planet is seeing. You know, whether they had their event. Here we go. In or out? You watch. I've got to laugh because this is just life right now. This is just how it goes. This is better. Well, my frame rate looks good. I don't know if any of the viewers here who will see this are considering consoles on top of PC or how you play. Well, I'm currently on PC. But I think I'm going to commit to a PS5 too, and I think I'm going to play on both platforms because I've got friends, old clanmates that are on Sony systems, and I still have contact with them here and there, and it'd be kind of cool to play with them again. And I tried to with a PS4, but I'll tell you, here we go. After you've done PC, PS4 is just, it's a hot mess. I'm probably doing this the wrong way again. Watch me get kicked out. Probably should go to the tower and launch it. Nope. Wait. No way. Anyway, the price is not horrible. I can play other games with it. I think I want the option. So. Ooh. Here we go. Calamity Protocol. Of course, I don't have space for it, but that's all right.
Something. It's like a ghost, only bigger, emanating from the Traveler. There's a resonance in the light I haven't felt since the day I was born, and when I found you. Ghosts reporting in from across the system. We can't explain it, but we all sense it.
We've been in here before. Didn't the spicy ramen quest take us through this? This is not the first time I've been here. I do want to look in here a second. Alright, I better quit messing around because I'll get kicked out. Up here, yeah. Oh, we fought through this before. This was a map on a mission. We fought through this. All right, Cooper, I am in. Let's pull up a chair. Let my clan know I'm in. Oh, wait. Do I? Oh, I gotta go down there. Oh, can I get? Will it kill me? Let's find out. Oh! Hey, I can jump high. Uh-oh. Oh, what do you think the odds are that I'll get across this? My old friends would be dying right now because I am the worst platformer ever. I swear if this goes. I can't even talk. I'm not breathing. Yes, Cooper, I got in. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I suppose I go over there, don't I? How about the superpower? Anyone recognize this area? Oh, there's the tower up there. All right. Now, obviously, we can't go down. Oh, no, wait a minute. Yeah, no, we can't go down there. Did he make it? Yes. I thought I was going to be short. No. Don't think I can get up on those wires. Can't get on those. I wonder how high in that tree I can get. Oh. Doing okay till I got cute. Hear the siren? Ha. Yeah, Cooper, I agree. Whoa. Did it just absorb a part? Is that what that noise was? We may have to watch this. Get back over there. Can't get up there. Not that way. Nope. No, it doesn't look any different, does it? It's 9:08 Eastern Standard Time, so this has approximately 40 minutes left to go. 42 minutes to be precise. If it lasts that full time, it may or may not. I'm afraid to kill myself, and I'm afraid not to. I want to jump off there and see what happens, but I'm afraid if I do, I'm going to be in queue again. What the heck? Yeah, it all worked out. That came from the Traveler. No question about it. Seems to be coming in intervals. I wonder if those intervals are shortening. Let's watch this for a moment, and let's just see if it does. Okay, there's another pulse. That was less than a minute. But where did that seem to come from? Seemed to be lower, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna... That seemed to be centered. Down here somewhere. I like that guy's chair there. Giggly Death. I like his chair. It's time for another pulse. Oh. Look at that name. Destiny servers still suck. Somebody's bitter. Do you suppose that pulse happens every time somebody enters this instance, maybe? Because it doesn't seem to be consistent. Come on now. I do feel for anyone still trying to get in. It has been a struggle. While that's going on, I think I may just have a look at my emblems here and clear up some space and then pull it down from collections. Oh, yeah, that one's gone. All right, let's go on over to Tracker. All right, so let's collect the Postmaster. Here we go. There we go. We're going to change it. There we go. Get rid of that too while we're at it. All right, here we go. There's the pulse. Was that a lap dance? I think it was. uh, you watching Giggly Death there? I mean, that's my air travel experience right there. Hang on a second. I want to bring this back up. All right, here we go. Oh, I see what's going on there. I think I finally understand what's going on. All right, coming back here. I figured out what was going on with my OBS, and I'd have to kill my stream to get this back. I had regular OBS running, and or it started for whatever reason whenever I started my stream here, and that camera instance overwrote this camera instance, so that's why my webcam's not up, and that's all right. You don't need to see my face anyway. It's Movember, and I'm not shaving. And, oh my gosh, if you could see me right now, you'd probably be tossing money at me, and not for a good reason. And please don't, because I don't accept contributions or anything. My stream's going to be 100% free always, and no contributions needed or wanted. I just do this because I like to. But yeah, I'm looking awfully bad. All right, we're starting to draw a crowd here. I'm going to do a different emote just to make sure that we don't get booted. Oh, and another reminder, make sure that you have 186.2 gigabytes of empty space on your PC hard drive, because that's what you're going to need to install Beyond Light. And I had to make some hard choices last night. Get something. My storage capacity is divided into two drives. I have a C and a D drive, and my C drive, which is solid state, has 500 gigs on it, and then my my normal hard drive is, I think, a terabyte. But yeah, I don't want to install the game on the D drive. I would rather have it on the solid state because it's going to run faster if I do. So yeah, I had to work at doing that. Now I do some graphic design. I teach it at a middle school, so I have a lot of graphic design software, which I now wish I had put on the D drive. I didn't at the time. Probably a mistake, but done is done, and it's the whole Adobe 2020 suite, so you can imagine how big that is. Half the drive went to that. More than half the drive went to that, because I really don't have that much installed on this computer. I have Destiny, and I have OBS, and then I have the Adobe suite, and that's it. I mean, and I have Kovacs AIM from Steam, which isn't that big. That's it. That's all I have. Everything else is so small as to not matter. We're 9:19. Been about 10 minutes. Everything seems stable at the moment. Look at that row. That's a picture right there. Is it just me, or is that shimmering getting greater around the traveler? Let's keep an eye on that. It seems like the field is expanding. Look up here. Directly above my head, you see the field has reached out that far now, and you have a whiter glow that appears to be expanding. I think it's happening. For sure. I don't know if this is the sun over here, but we're getting some brightness now emerging from right where my head is. Right there. Yeah, I wish I could turn that off. That's what happens when you join a mega clan. You get all kinds, and I like my clan, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to talk them down, but it's a mega clan made of like a dozen smaller clans that keep each of the because of Bungie's 100-member limit on your clans. It's a collection of subclans, and yeah, you meet all kinds. Why would anyone wait for an explosion? Why did there's not going to be an explosion? While we're waiting, I'd mention that just for something to talk about. As I mentioned earlier, I was watching Asdacross on his stream because basically he had his open and I couldn't get logged in. But if you do look for content creators, some of my favorite ones are Asdacross, True Vanguard. I like to watch Geeker Man just because he's goofy. Obviously, Houndish and Rick Cackus are some of the more popular ones. Mesa Sean, used to watch him a bit, not so much. Dado, I don't know. Not such a big fan of his anymore. I won't run him down, but yeah, it just I don't know. Just kind of grew old, and that's okay. I mean, we can like what we like and dislike what we want to, I suppose. Don't have to be ugly about it. But with great content creators out there like that, oh, look at the coloration starting over here. See it? I don't know if that's an effect of the sun, prismatic effect going through the atmosphere or the traveler. Could be. But we're beginning to see some colors here around the perimeter of the aura up on top as well. Anyway, there are content creators that create really, you know, good nuts and bolts, information in terms of stats and the numbers. Patty Cakes is really good. Cool Guys, another guy. If you really want to know the difference between using this mod or not using that mod, great source of information. Asdacross, I tend to agree with his opinions. He's a bit more animated than I am, but I tend to agree with much of what he said. Not always, but and I don't lockstep with anybody, but he and I are probably on a similar wavelength in terms of status of the game and whatever, because he's a guy that plays both too, PvE and PvP. So I can respect that. Other than that, and by the way, one of the first things I look for in content creation is the attitude of the content creator themselves. And I don't really need to get into toxic personalities. I mean, I have to work around toxic personalities, and so when I get into this, I don't want any part of that. So the one thing that all the people that I mentioned have in common is they're very non-toxic, helpful, doing it, to hopefully help other players out. And I appreciate and respect that. My whole take on things wasn't ever to compete with them in what they do, because they do it so much better than I do, but mine is just a perspective, and that is just an old guy who likes to play games and enjoys creating the content. So it'll never be top tier stuff. I don't have the time or energy for that, but I do play and I put up content, and if you enjoy that, I'm thank you, and I'm glad you do. But once again, this is not anything I ever hope to make money at or need to make money at, and that's just not what I'm here for. So but if you do want good information, I would for sure go and look at what those other people have to offer. I'd love to watch True Vanguard as his movement throughout a map, regardless of the weapons that he uses. He is just a super solid player all around PvP. I also like to watch ZK Mushroom in Trials, because there's a guy that is just amazing in terms of what he can do and what he can pull off. And it does really drive home too the skill gap between younger people and myself, because I no matter how much I would practice, I could never have the lightning reflexes that younger folks have. And that's one of the things you have to give up as you get older, is just beating yourself up about that. I mean, and it sounds like you're making excuses, but you kind of have to keep telling yourself that when you compete against people and you keep getting thumped. A lot of that's your own decision making and the situations you put yourself into, but some of it really does just come down to they're quicker than you are, but sometimes that's just all it takes. Sounds like the noise is building up, doesn't it? There's just a rumbling that's building. We're 9:28 Eastern Standard Time, 9:29 officially. So this has 20 minutes, no more. I want to check something real quick. Forgive me. I want to see what the store has to offer on Bright Dust real quick before this goes dead. No. I've never bought anything with actual silver. I mean, that well, let me put it another way. I never purposely put silver into Eververse to purchase something. I've wound up with silver in Eververse before, and I've used it, but I've never actually intentionally put real money into Eververse, and that's a choice. And if you like that kind of thing, that's fine. It's just something I didn't feel like I wanted to encourage. And we can go back. I mean, and I guess in the span of posting this tonight, I've touched on it before about looking back and what was good and bad about Destiny 2 thus far, and especially in the last year. And we've had some events that were clear and obvious cash grabs for Eververse, and I think Bungie rightfully got a lot of ire for that. And that's what it takes. You don't need to go to a forum and throw a tantrum or anything like that. That doesn't accomplish anything. All you need to do is ignore it, and that is message enough. If you don't purchase things and because you disagree with that model, then they'll find another way, to satisfy you, because that's how they make their money. And I say that too about content in general. If for instance you don't like the fact that you have to play PvP for quests or whatever, well, don't do it. I mean, if you don't like PvP, and I've been one of those guys, if you don't like PvP so much that you don't want to do it to get something out of it, and it seems like quests are continuously done in such a way to drag you through all of the content, mark my words, if enough people ignore those types of things, Bungie gets the message and they will stop doing that. So I've seen it before and I've seen it again. Now, I'm not trying to tell anybody to stop doing anything. I personally, there are things I go for, things I don't. And I figure if enough people think like me, then things change. And if not enough people think like me, then maybe I'm the problem, and because the majority should rule. And if most people are happy with stuff, then I have to be okay with that. And I think that's something that people would do well to remember. You don't have to have everything out of a game this big. You just don't. And I mean, I have been one of those people. In Destiny 1, I was a platinum player because I had to do and get everything. But I think Destiny 2 is a bigger game, by far. And it didn't take me very long in playing it and seeing the way that it was laid out and how sprawling it was, that I wasn't going to get everything, and I didn't want to get everything. I just didn't want to be that player anymore. I wanted to enjoy it, not because I was in some sort of compulsive mode to do things that I really didn't enjoy at all, but because I enjoyed the stuff that I was doing, and getting the reward for that was just a byproduct of playing something I wanted to play. And to me, that's what a great game does. Now, that's not to say that every now and then we don't all have to do some part of a quest that really isn't very fun at all or super repetitive. But if you look back in the year... Thank you, Cooper. I just read that. I try to be a nice guy. But anyway... Destiny has delved into modes that were too repetitive and too grindy, and they got called on it, and I think they're doing a better job. So. "202G, too old to grind." Siggy L's Wirtschaft. Word. Craft, I believe is what that is in German. Am I correct, Siggy? No, it'd be Wort, not Wirt. Wirtschaft. Wirtschaft. I don't know what that means. I took German 40 years ago, and I try to keep up on it here and there, but I don't get much opportunity to actually converse with actual German-speaking people on the regular, so my pronunciation is not good. I do read it all right, but again, I don't use it enough to be able to be fluent. I would say maybe on an 8 or 10-year-old level. I did go to Austria a couple of years ago and was able to get around just fine. And speaking German, I mean, at least well enough to ask for simple things or directions or order food, things like that. Basic stuff. I'm sure most of the Austrians thought I was an idiot, but that's all right. That's okay. All right, better get up here. Better get up. Let's see. Oh. Just tossing a new one on there. Yeah, better. Kind of like a casual restaurant. Yes, it is, Siggy. Yes, it is. I don't know if you're in my instance or are you just seeing it, but this is some funny stuff out there. What's lined up here? Look at that blue streak on my radar. You see the arc near the top of the Traveler getting stronger. That electric sort of surge. Oh, Cooper, I'm not going to give up. But thank you for the compliment. I don't know about blowing up. Oh, you know, funny thing is, I have a daughter who's engaged to a young man who also plays Destiny, and they were joking around with me one day a couple months ago, and yeah, he and his clan are really working hard at putting together some content and producing it. I mean, like they've got this mini business going on. I said, well, that's cool. I create some content too. And he just said, well, how many followers do you have? And at the time I said, well, I have 100. And they were blown away that I had 100 followers. Like, you have 100 followers? We can't get 100 followers, and they were killing themselves for it. And I don't know what they were doing, and it's far be it for me to interject in there and tell them how to do it because I don't know anything. I mean, I just put stuff up. People find it and they like it or they don't. But got a kick out of them. And we kind of go back and forth with our purchases and things. So, I've got a little bit of a studio set up here, and so does he. And he just got his PS5, and now I'm going to have to go out and get a PS5. I don't have any choice. Because I got to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. He's a good boy. I love him to death. He's such a fine young man. Such a great match for my daughter. And he's a gamer. I mean, how can you go bad? How could you go wrong with that? This is some funny stuff. I just couldn't get into PvP this week. There was just so much other stuff that I wanted to do. And I did a lot of menagerie. Just try to pick up a few more rolls of things. I picked up a few Ostringers and some mini tools. And I'll tell you, I really do like the Callus mini tool. Ostringer's good. And we'll have to see how good it's going to be after the 140s get effectively better. Ooh, look at that. Getting a lot of shimmer on the screen. Look around the edges of your screen there. It's like the wave has reached us now. Anyway, the Austringer may wind up being a very, very super good, solid, top tier gun. It's just okay right now. But yeah, the channel was slow this week, but I figured people would forgive that. It's the last week before of the content, and what I'm going to do, I think, is when I play starting tomorrow, is I'm just going to put up the OBS and just stream what I find out. Although I'm torn on that too, because I don't want to put up spoiler content. I suppose it's a free world, free country, whatever, and people can tune in if they want to or not. But yeah, I hope people get in and enjoy it themselves. Although I suppose there are work situations where people can't. I wouldn't watch some of this stuff before I tried it myself, but that's me. Who knows what the right answer is? Yeah, for sure that wave has reached us. Right there, you can see it. We're 9 minutes away from login lock. I am going to have to, though, and I'm tempted to do it just for a match or two. Earlier I was talking about this is a great time to play PvP if you're not big into it. You want to try to break in. Because when you drop a big expansion like this, you're going to get a lot of new players. And what that does is it deepens the PvP pool. I mean, you'll have some great players in there, but not everyone will be great, right? And so it gives you a chance to experiment and try some different things out. And hey, see you, Cooper. Thanks a lot for joining tonight. Really appreciate the comments, by the way. Anyway, I would remind people again, and I'm tempted to do this, at least a few matches, to try to get in and just see what it's like. Of course, I want to collect some weapons first, too. So, I mean, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, and hey, who's to say that there won't be drops from PvP as well? I mean, does the loot pool change in PvP? Interesting question. I know the vendors aren't refreshing right away, but that doesn't mean that world drops will be the same or match drops will be the same. Of course, I could be all wet. Oh man, I can't go now. I mean, we're almost at the end. One way or the other, this ends in about 17 minutes. Sky doesn't look different over there. Just getting fuzzier, isn't it? My money says there'll be a flash of light, and when we come back to being able to see, there'll be a complete traveler in front of us. Then black screen. Tune in tomorrow. We'll see. I have to say, people are pretty well behaved. A little surprised by that, but all right, time to stand up again. Notice the images over here are starting to split up and waver, like we're going into multi-dimensions. It's starting to increase. See that along the greenhouse? Right there. See it? FOMO at its finest, folks. Fear of missing out. But it's been a different change. Just something different. It's kind of cool. Good way to end seasons. You know, and if you're not interested, you don't have to go. You know, I got my emblem. I do have to thank Cooper, though. I would not be sitting here right now. I would not have picked up on the mission. I suspect you could have sat in the tower and still seen it, but all right, so it's just past 9:48, about 90 seconds until logins are locked, Eastern Standard Time. That puts us at about 11 and a half minutes out from darkness. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen soon. This is Iron Bill. Been watching while I've been able to be in. Been some connection issues tonight, but I've been on since about 7 o'clock. Stream's going to be kind of longish, so if you're catching this on record, hopefully you've zipped to the end so you see it. No one had any idea when this was actually going to complete, but apparently by now it's going to take us right to the very end. I would say there won't be any more than 5 minutes extra for the feel good. Notice the pulsing here over in this area where my head is. It's like a multi-dimensional shift. All the imagery is phasing in and out. We are deep inside the energy well now. Hey, does this mean that everyone's a guardian right now because everyone's bathed in the light? Is that why everyone has super jumping ability? I think I want to be mobile so we can see this. Oh, oh, getting really bright. Folks, I say we're coming to it. Don't take your eyes off the screen. Logins are locked. Yeah, now notice the Traveler is beginning to morph into a solid. We're all being irradiated. This is like the Philadelphia experiment. Next thing you know, it's going to be 1948. I'm not sure what year that was that actually happened. It might have been 46. I'm going to say 48. Now I'm going to have to look it up. Oh, 43. If you don't know what that is, it was an experiment supposedly carried out by the U.S. Navy. And it's not really very clearly defined what it was, whether they were trying to render warships cloaked or invisible, and supposedly bad stuff happened, but it's one of those Area 51 type stories, so who knows? Who knows? But that's what the Philadelphia experiment reference is about. There was a movie made about that in the 80s, I believe, 80s or 90s. So, and then people wound up traveling in time. You know, a joke is horrible if you have to explain it. I think my first theory is going to be right. This is just going to just flash out and then just be suddenly healed. But we'll know in about 7 minutes, one way or the other. Now, I'm not versed enough in the lore of Destiny to know what blew the Traveler up. I've heard it was the darkness that did it. I've heard it was Rasputin because the Traveler was trying to escape. I mean, I don't know. But it will be interesting to see what the Traveler does once it is whole again. Now, if you're listening, you can hear that pulsating, that shimmer just pulsating. I wonder if this is how Gaul felt. Hear that? Okay, images are really shimmering now. See that? And this big hunk right here, keep your eye on that. This hunk seems to be merging. But this one up here is not. Four minutes. Don't take your eyes off of it now. There's the crowd. My eyes are drying out. I've stared at the screen for so long.
It's coming. Feel it.
Here we go. They're going to take us right to the moment. This is going to end with a black screen. Oh, man.
It is drawing power. Could it be enough to drive the darkness away from us?
Eris, you know better than that.
Every fire team has returned to the city, even the hunters. But the people, keeping them safe. The last time this happened, the world ended. I'm not worried. I'm not.
It is reforming, healing its wounds.
Okay. Check that piece there.
Not be the end. It will be an escalation.
"30 seconds from now." What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I told you. I told you. Look over on the left. Well, chat, that's exactly the way I figured it would end. Black screen. And that should be it. Destiny servers are officially offline. It is 10 o'clock plus 35. And yeah, that's going to do it for the stream tonight. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Special nod to Cooper Bridwell, who put me on that mission. I would never have found it without him. Thank you so much, and thank you for the kind words. Siggy, thanks for dropping by. And with that, we're going to end the stream tonight, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Probably we'll stream some play. And just be aware if you join that there could be some spoilers involved. So I wish you all a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.